very good. Well, we'll probably have a few more come on board, but they can join in as they get started. The format we usually use is the presenter goes first, and if you have questions, you can type them in the chat, and I'll get to them first once we get to the question and answer time. And if you don't have questions right now, but you think of them later, feel free to type them in there. If there's a question you have that's directly related to clarifying something that was said, I'll interrupt Brecia and ask her that question. But other than that, we're going to give her 25 to 30 minutes to tell her story and show a couple of videos. And you, like us, will probably fall in love with what she's done. So without further ado, Brecia.
Thank you, Judy. Oh my gosh. Well, I feel so at home here. My connection with Warp goes way back to the beginning of the 2000s. And also just so delighted to be sharing the Women's Woven Voices project kind of as after the wonderful panel that you had last session called Portable Story, where the panel members were talking about the connection between text and textile, which is something that I find to be really archetypal. I wrote down a couple little quotes from last time. So if you were with us, you might remember somebody said, "To be is to weave." And I love that. And also that by the work of their hands, that's how they tell people, women through the ages have told stories. So I'm the founder of the Women's Woven Voices Project. And that is an international collaborative fiber arts project that invites women to claim their empowered voices through self-reflection and writing, weaving a story cloth, and then sharing their authentic stories. The mission of the project is to promote in the world creativity, community, and compassion in the face of gender inequity, abuse, and violence that women experience around the world. The idea is to foster a sense of self-knowledge and courage for women to claim their voices and to know how powerful their story is. And the invitation went out to women all over the globe. The goal for me was to create a tapestry by weaving or by stitching together these woven story cloths that I could share then as an art installation. And my big goal was to get 1,000 people from around the globe, which currently the tapestry has 1,030 story cloths that I have stitched together into a rather dramatic art piece. And so I will be sharing more about that. So currently the tapestry has story cloths, and you'll see behind me a couple of the panels. So each one of the little strips that you see behind me was woven by someone in the world that was decorated with whatever it is that they wanted to put on their story cloth. It's not representational, it's totally abstract art. And then as I've stitched them all together, I added, let me see, I'll move this way. I added a red fringe on the bottom to pull the whole piece together. And in just a few minutes, I'll show you the entire tapestry so that you can really get a view. I really wish that we were all together in person so that you could just come right up to these woven pieces and just take them, drink them in, because they really are amazingly powerful, beautiful, and sort of delicious to be around. So let me just say that, so why am I doing this? Judy had asked me the question, so is this a part of a organization or just an individual project? And in fact, it is just my individual project. The idea for this project came to me in 2017. I was involved in a women's conference to celebrate International Women's Day. And by the end of the conference, the theme of abuse came up as these powerful, courageous women throughout the day shared their stories of their lives And all of the things that they'd accomplished, they were very inspiring. But there was also this underlying story of abuse that they were challenged with, that they had to overcome in their lives. And as an artist, I was at the place in my life where I really wanted to contribute to creativity, community, and compassion in the world with my art. And I've always particularly been interested in supporting women. I'm a creativity coach, and I've written a book called The Spiral of Creativity, and so this just really called to me very strongly to create a very large, powerful piece of artwork that could share the power of women's stories. So that's how the project was born. I created a website, which I'll show you at the end, so that you can easily see all of the resources there. And then just started reaching out kind of like a pebble in the pond to the people around me. And as soon as 5 or 6 people had woven their story cloths, I stitched them together and began sharing the tapestry. So it's been shared in progress at all over the Southwest, throughout California, Nevada, Arizona, at conferences, at in public spaces, at the Commission for the Status of Women and Girls, at museums, at universities, at schools. So just as it was growing, it was being exhibited throughout as throughout the journey of the project. Excuse me, tripping over my words. So, as a part of this invitation on my website, I was offering these little kits um, that have strings and straw and beads, and talk about portable. Last time they were talking about portable weaving. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. You may have done this as a child. You see these soda straws. There's a little warp through the middle. The beads are holding on the warp strands, and then the weaving is just very simply done like this. I did this with children for years in a fiber arts program in the schools. And so when I decided to invite women to weave their story cloth, I thought, oh, I know exactly what we can do. I can put together these little kits, and anybody in the world could do this. So when you go on my website, there's videos of me saying, this is how you put the loom together. This is how you weave. This is how you finish, and lots and lots of resources. And so one of the things that I'm delighted about is that out of the over 1,000 story cloths, some were done by weavers, because I shared this at Convergence a couple of times in a row. And so a lot of weavers jumped in and participated there. But by far, most of the people had never woven a piece of cloth before. And as we all know, the power of just having the materials in your hand, of the meditative action of the actual weaving, taking the time to create a cloth that represents you. So that's is one part of the impact of the project. So the participants, and um, just so you know, when you go onto the website, there's writing prompts, there's uh, um, a meditation that you can listen to. And the kinds of things that I was asking women to reflect on are these questions like this: what are some of your greatest achievements, successes, and creations? And then what are some of the greatest challenges you've faced? And what strengths did you bring to that? What are some of the things that make you feel whole? Who are some of the people that support you? How do you feel empowered? And so as women are reflecting on this, then they weave their story cloth. Um, so I did workshops. I reached out to people doing workshops at universities, at schools, at art groups. I worked with veteran women. I did an all-day workshop with women who are refugees from Iran, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, who were escaping incredible violence in their home countries and have relocated here to the United States in the San Diego area. And they shared their stories and wove, and we put all of their story cloths together into one panel and then exhibited it at their school. And um, and it was an incredibly moving experience for me. So what I'd like to do right now is I'd like to just share with you the tapestry. This is a walkthrough video from when the tapestry was on exhibit last summer in Knoxville, Tennessee at the Handweavers Guild of America Convergence. So perhaps maybe some of you even saw it there. So I'm going to share. Oh, before I do, so you notice behind me that there's just every possible color, and people wove with all different kinds of materials, and embellished in many, many different ways. So just as we do the walkthrough, you can just kind of keep an eye out for some of the different ways that people expressed themselves in their story cloth. So here we go. Let's go share that, and we'll make it whole. And here we go. Okay, so so it's approximately 175 feet long, and it's created in panels. So there's about 45 panels now, I think, of story cloths that are stitched together, and then I usually exhibit it by with some freestanding stands. So yeah, so it's a huge tapestry. And I just want to share a quick story, and then I have another video for you. So the 2 points of impact for the project are one, the participants. What do they get out of reflecting on their life and weaving a story cloth? One of the very first participants was an 84-year-old woman named Barbara. And she told me she didn't want to write anything. She just wanted to weave her story. And she just picked up some yarn and used it as a reflection. Some people use each color as an event in their life. So there actually is kind of a chronological timeline, but she just was intuitively weaving. And this woman had also been in an abusive relationship. So she finished her weaving and she gave it to me for the tapestry. And she said, while I was weaving, I was thinking about my life and I was thinking about the good and the bad. And then that sort of transformed into the ups and the downs. And then I started to really feel the the power of my life story. She said, at the end, I thought to myself, I am a strong woman. And she said, Brecia, I'm 84 years old and I have never, ever said those words before. So for me, that was the hope was that the people who participated would find value in weaving their story and reflecting. Then the second point of impact, of course, is other people seeing the tapestry. So I'm going to share another video, and I was very pleased this summer in August to be able to take and install the tapestry at a huge event called the Parliament of World Religions. And this organization has been gathering for decades people from all over the world to look at various issues. And this year's was a call to conscience, defending freedom and human rights. And so I've got a little video so you can see that that the art now that it's all put together that as an art installation, um, it now has the presence to affect people from all over the world. So let's have a look at that. I've seen this. Over 7,000 people from 95 different countries participated in this international event with the theme of Call to Conscience, Defending Human Rights and Freedom. As a part of the Women's Task Force at the Women's Village, I was an integral part of curating what was going to be in this space. The Women's Village was very specifically designed to create a sacred space for the women who were in attendance, which was filled with beautiful art and embraced and surrounded by the Women's Woven Voices tapestry. Having the Women's Village be surrounded with a tapestry with over 1,000 woven story cloths from women from 10 different countries highlighted the importance of women's stories and was a representation of the courage and the diversity and the power and the strength of women in community. From Monday through Friday, people wandered in and out of the Women's Village, having an opportunity to participate in several different art activities, to take in the tapestry, and to participate in creating a story cloth if they wished. I was delighted to meet women from so many different places geographically with different religious beliefs, traditions, and so open and so willing to share and so curious to ask questions and to really make meaningful connections within the Women's Village. I'm here in the Women's Village at the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago, and I'm here with Christine, and she's been participating in the Women's Woven Voices project. And Christine, would you like to share?
Yeah, so I have been working on this. I'm from the Institute for Islamic, Christian, and Jewish Studies, and we have a handful of lovely women in our office who are here with me. And so what we've been doing is we have been taking turns, adding different colors that speak to us to this, and with our plan to take it back and have this communal project that we've done together to send a picture in and put it in our lobby for everyone to see us coming together and the strength and power of women. So
That's
I just love this.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here.
My name is Zena. I come from Taiwan, and my Buddhist female monastic come from Mahayana Buddhist lineage. I was very impressed the work of this collective connection. I think there are 2 points I would like to appreciate and point out. Is first, we all have story, we all have energy, we all have creativity. However, most our way of expression is verbal, is writing, which is a kind of linear thinking, logic thinking. But we also have another part. It's called feminist energy, feminist consciousness. That portion comes from bodily connection, intuitively, and the most important is how do we using our recognition of knowing we can share our inner story and consciousness or consciousness process by weaving or by storytelling. And in the meanwhile, we know we are be part of the women village who can recognize our heart, our love, our inner reflection can be presented by a piece of woven piece, and then that can be part of the human being that can be shared, and also that can be connected. Just what has been done, and I think most important heart feeling is that we know we have some portion have been traumatized or hurt, but we also have power to reflect it and to reinterpret it, and even most important is reconnect with it by using our body work and then represent in a very colorful form, and also say I can see it, I can tell it, also I can share it, I can restructure the love way with others and with next generation. So it is my honor to recognize and to see this and be part of this. Thank you.
Okay. So at this point, I would like to just say that I just got back from the Parliament, and so now I'm not sure what the next step is for the tapestry. Um, I would like to continue to share it and amplify women's issues or women's positive actions in the world. And I'd just like to invite you to participate by weaving your story cloth. Do this with a group. The website has so many resources for you. After 5 years of stitching the stories together, I'm done stitching them into the tapestry that I have, but I have set up a global tapestry gallery on my website so that you can take pictures of what you've done, and we can just keep the energy going throughout the world. So I'm just going to share my website and then we'll take any questions. So let's see if I can do that. Okay, it's womenswovenvoices.com, and you might recognize Cameron Taylor Brown. This picture was taken at a workshop at her art garage in LA. So lots and lots of resources if you scroll down, you will be able to see that you can download posters, you can download affirmations, lots and lots of things for you to do to help you to participate. All right, so I think I've used up all my time. So questions? Oh, no, I'm not hearing you, Judy. Let's see.
I know. I forgot to unmute myself.
Yeah.
We
Alright.
do have a question.
Okay.
Do you have any demographics about the participants, their age, their location? You know, what do you know about the people whose stories you're displaying?
Yeah. So I can tell you. So people participated from throughout the United States, from Afghanistan, Australia, Bulgaria, Canada, Iran, excuse me, Iraq, Germany, Northern Ireland, Syria, and Germany. Just from my own personal experience, I did workshops with teen girls that were at risk for sex trafficking, Girl Scouts, Girls Inc., so teenage girls, community members. There are some men that wove their stories in allyship. And then the last collaboration that I did was with a group of senior community living communities. So it was uh, independent living, assisted living, and memory care communities, and over 700 senior people participated by weaving their story cloths. So a big bulk of it was really women of women of experience, senior women, the crones. So we got the maiden mother crone all in there.
Very good. And remind us how many altogether you've put into your big exhibit, your display.
Yes, so there's about 1,030 story cloths that I stitched together personally, and it was an incredible honor to hold all of those stories in my hands. And so my invitation to people was, do this with your group, do this with the teams, do it with your church, do it with your book, do it with whoever you want to do it, or just do it yourself. And then please email me a picture, and we will start filling up the photo gallery on the website. So then the tapestry will actually exist in not just in one place, but it'll exist in many different places.
Very good. Did you collect any written stories to accompany the woven story panels?
I did collect written stories. I put out, the opportunity for people to write stories that they could share as a part of the project, but didn't want to share publicly, which gave people an opportunity to just get things down on paper. And then I would say maybe less than a fourth of the people submitted an actual written story, but again, stories filled with every possible life experience. So challenges, but just joys, all of the life things, births and deaths and achievements and challenges and everything you can imagine. So
Did you personally stitch all the strips together?
I did. I personally stitched them all together.
Just you. And did you use a particular kind of stitch? Use a whip stitch, or how did you do it?
Just sort of wove back and forth. I used a very, very strong acrylic yarn. And for those groups who might like to do this and keep a panel in their space, I put videos on the website that say, here's some resources for your group. Here's how I stitched them together. Here's how I crocheted the panel on the back because they're hung on a rod. Here's how I added on the fringe. So really the website is full of resources.
Very good. Do you happen to know if any women who participated identified as non-binary or transgender as part of their story?
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I know that specifically. I did I did workshops with groups of veterans and groups of students. And within those groups, I didn't ask for any identification of
Sure.
gender. So,
Sure. All right. Now, I'm almost reluctant to ask this question. I'm going to have to tell you it was written by Joan LeClaire, who says, I realize this has been a lot of work for you to stitch the weavings together. I would like to suggest that the stitching of weavings continue. As more women and girls send in their weavings, imagine if a tapestry could be put together that's long enough to cover walls such as the one between the US and Mexico. Do you have a comment?
I love that. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I actually have had suggestions of people saying, it should be out on, go big enough to go around the White House, or I love the border, taking it to the border. I will also say people have suggested that it would be a great project for in the prisons. And I have to say that I feel very complete after almost 6 years of stitching. And so I would just, I would, at this point, I love the idea of just having the panels exist, in various different places in the world. But I would also love it if you want to email me a suggestion and or volunteer to, take the project to another level. That would be fantastic.
Okay, very good. Let me ask you this. How did you fund the project? How did you purchase the materials that were used to go into your kits and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, the project is basically self-funded. I did create a GoFundMe page way, way, way back, and did receive some donations. And I have, over the years, people have donated, have made donations, but it's basically self-funded.
Very good. Has anyone who's on the call today ever seen anything like this before? I think it's really quite extraordinary.
To the viewer, I can see the gallery here. There we go. There we go. Now I can see people. I would love to just hear some reactions or comments. I'd love to hear from somebody. That would be great.
Yeah, do you want to open it up? Why don't we open it up? Unmute everybody.
Yeah.
And let's have a little conversation about it. Elena, can you do that?
Yep, I'm working on that right now.
Diane says it reminds her of the AIDS quilt. Yes, I hadn't thought of it until you just said that, but it does have some of the same elements.
I get that comment very frequently. Yeah.
Whatever happened to the AIDS quilts?
Gosh,
Anybody know?
That's a good question.
That's kind of my question about this, is where could it live besides your living room or wherever it is you have it?
Yeah. Well, actually, so if nobody has it, so I'll put something out to you. So after the after the, well, I did take it to Convergence, but then after this Parliament, I had the idea of inviting organizations, museums, groups, to sponsor, to take a panel. So there's 45 panels. So if I got 45 groups somewhere in the world who wanted to take a panel and exhibit it, and they would sponsor it by paying for the shipping, then I would just take the panels and send them, and then we would have a map that we could put onto the website of where all of the different panels were. And again, once again, it would just be seeded out into the world. So I don't know. Does anybody have any other ideas?
Hey, this is Kelly. I like that idea of, even though this can grow physically, to do some more sort of PR for it, to see if there are organizations or even businesses that may want to host it for some time. I can imagine there might be some large, particularly multinational corporations, where they, whether for PR purposes or whatever, they're really actively trying to step up some of their diversity or women's art involvement. So, maybe even hosting something like this in one of their auditoriums or a corporate lobby, something like that for a while. Or, as you were talking about, some organization. So I'll certainly let people I know about it.
Thank you for that suggestion. I have a couple of other friends who've done big international projects, and we were all saying, the airport, because art in the airport usually stays there for about 3 years, and I was just, can you imagine just, this thing's like almost 200 feet long going down the through the aisles of the airport. Anyways, and I discovered that most of the airports really focus on local artists. And I live near Santa Barbara, California, and our airport is this big. This is just like too big for my airport. But I love the idea of corporations, and that many of them do have the community outreach or the goals to make some kind of connection. And I hadn't really thought to explore that. So that's a great suggestion. And yes, I would very much like this powerful tapestry as it is to get out into the world more. As you just may guess, I mean, we drove the tapestry to Chicago from California because I couldn't really ship it. And so, it was 5 days of travel, and then a week of the conference, and then 5 days traveling back. We put it up, we took it down. I did it all myself, and we funded all of that ourselves. And so I'm kind of in a little bit of a,
Sure.
so I need to take a little rest before I get the energy back up. But I love the idea of having it installed in a big corporate headquarters somewhere. That would
Well,
be great.
here's a few other comments and suggestions that were in the chat.
Okay.
One suggested the Denver Art Museum because they featured a collaborative project called Each Other about 3 or 4 years ago. So they have a history of collaborative projects. So that's a possibility.
Okay.
And I was just thinking that the WARP annual meeting is going to be in Boulder next year.
Oh,
So wouldn't that be fun if it could be installed in the Denver Art Museum at the time of our annual meeting, and we could have a reception there or something? That would be a nice partnership. Someone else has suggested the Women's Museum in DC. They might take a panel for their collection. Someone said, what about the next United Nations meeting? And I'm not quite sure what that would be.
Let me just say.
Someone also
May I just respond to that? So people say in the very beginning, well, what are you going to do with it? And I said, what I want to do with it is I want to take it to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, where women gather from all over the world in New York every March during, the March Women's History Month. And I want it to be a part of the commission. But I had no idea how that would work. And lo and behold, in 2022, I think, no, 2021, during COVID, the entire thing went online. And I actually had a virtual booth at the commission. I set it up in my living room, and for 2 weeks, I did programming from my living room, and people popped in from all organizations all over the world, and that was a real dream come true. So yes, that's amazing.
Wonderful. There's another person who suggests the Robert Hilsted Textiles Gallery at University of Nebraska. I think Elena or Kelsey can send you this chat. So you don't
Okay,
have
that would be great. That would be great, yeah.
because they'll get the chat back when we're done. Kelly also suggests the San Francisco International Airport has its own museum and has international art. This would be a good fit, maybe. Let's see. Loretta Crippen said she didn't get what I said about the event in Boulder. Boulder is going to be the site of the Weave a Real Peace annual meeting next year in 2024. I'm not sure the dates, but maybe Elena knows. It's usually in the summertime.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit. The dates of the meeting next year. In Colorado, it's May 16th to 18th. Yeah, so it's early next year. That's correct.
Okay, so that's a possibility maybe as a place. If the Denver Museum is interested, that would be a nice thing.
Thank you so much for all of these suggestions, because I'm sort of at square one, as far as where to look. I don't know that there's a She Museum in Asheville, North Carolina that focuses on women, and then a women's museum in San Diego. So I had those two on my list, and that was. But you know what I really would like to do is I'd like to take it to an NFL football game because we doesn't need to be in a women's museum. That's where the women are going. We need to take it someplace like, like Soldier Field in Chicago, like a big place where we can get collaboration between men, women, and not people who don't identify or who identify with both. So that would be great.
Okay, so Ricky says, shifting gears a little, seeing the power of the creative experience, I'm inspired to work with my daughters and granddaughters to weave our own family story panels.
I love that.
Also,
Yes.
as a member of a couple of women in business organizations, I think it'd be a wonderful experience to bring us together in a new way.
Yes.
How long do you think it takes to make one of these panels, Brecia?
I made the warp about 35 inches long, but you can make a shorter warp. The ones that I sent out, it was a good 3, maybe 4 hours of weaving if you were really reflecting and taking your time. But if you have a shorter warp, you could do it in less. A couple of hours if you were doing it with a group, like an afternoon, if you're going to do a 1 to 4, 1 to 5 kind of thing.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? If not, we will wrap this up. And as usual, the program will be saved on our YouTube page with the link on the website to find it. One final comment is from Linda Werner in Houston, who says this inspires her so much to reach out to women in art groups that she knows of, weaving especially. And it has touched me deeply to start weaving again and healing from my abuse and gather women here to join us all to create together. You're right. There we go. The work meeting is in Golden, not Boulder. Thanks for that correction. It's in May next year. So those of you who
put the month.
have not been to a warp annual meeting, but find these kind of conversations stimulating.
Yeah.
Think what would happen if you were having them for 3 days instead of just 1 hour once a month. That's what a warp annual meeting is like. So I hope to see some of you there. And in the meantime, I hope to see some of you here next month. On behalf of Warp, thanks everyone for attending, and thank you so much, Brecia. We've enjoyed your story and your great accomplishment. Thanks for doing this. Okay, everyone. Bye. Bye for now.
Thank you, Brecia.
Thank you.